the ceiling, fading to a worrying gray. The city of Aethel was dying, starving for the light of the Heartstone. She was tracing the perimeter of an ancient, fractured map when her thumb brushed a layer of crystal dust. Wiping it away, she found not a blank space, but a minute, iridescent symbol. A coiled serpent eating its tail, hidden inside the known boundary. It wasn't a flaw. It was a clue. A surge of professional excitement lifted the gloom from her shoulders. This was a path no one had charted. Following the subtle direction indicated by the symbol, Lyra navigated the echoing, deserted tunnels. The symbol led her to a smooth, featureless rock wall deep in the forgotten western wing. There was no mechanism, no seam, no door, just solid stone. She pressed, she whispered the old city's access phrases, but the wall remained cold and impassive. A familiar, creeping doubt, the bane of every archivist, tightened in her chest. Had she misread the map entirely? She sank back onto the cold stone floor, pulling the map from her satchel. The frustration was intense, but as the faint, pulsing light from a nearby power conduit shifted, the angle of her shadow fell across the map. Suddenly, the symbol on the parchment aligned perfectly with a faint crack in the crystal structure of the map itself. It wasn't a location marker, it was a shadow cipher. The true path wasn't west, but down into the substrata, visible only when the map was held to the light in a specific way. This was a revolutionary breakthrough, a moment of profound, exhilarating understanding. Lyra quickly found a concealed stairwell leading into the substrata, but the shift in air pressure, the groan of the old foundation, did not go unnoticed. A loud, metallic clank echoed from the tunnel above. An ancient, four-armed guardian automaton, rusted, hulking, and deadly, had activated. Its headlamp snapped on, bathing her in a harsh red beam. It was designed to protect the very secrets she was seeking. She had seconds to move before its massive, crushing limbs reached the stairwell opening. The stone steps ended in a cluttered cavern littered with fallen masonry. Lyra dove headfirst, the guardian's metallic foot slamming onto the stone where she had been standing an instant before. She wedged herself into the tight space behind a massive, partially collapsed stone pillar. The automaton's powerful search beam swept over her, missing her by inches. It was a momentary, shallow reprieve, but the silence of its passing confirmed she had escaped, for now. Catching her breath, Lyra noticed the pillar wasn't just rubble, it was the support for a false wall. Behind it, she discovered a small, circular room, an antechamber filled with old recording devices and crystalline databanks described only in the most obscure Athelian texts. She had found the translator's room, the last known location of the original architect's journals. A single, dusty journal sat on a lectern. This wasn't the Heartstone, but it was the key to understanding how to use it. Lyra had barely scanned the first page of the journal, which spoke of a central convergence point, when the structure around her gave a terrifying, visceral shudder. The vibration wasn't distant, it was localized. The power grid, starved for energy, was failing. With a deafening roar, the ceiling of the antechamber groaned, fractured, and then collapsed. Lyra managed to throw herself into a dark corner, the dust and debris settling around her like a shroud. She was now completely trapped deep beneath the earth, buried alive, with the city's weak, flickering lights threatening to extinguish forever. The sheer mass of stone above her pressed down, making the air thin and stale. The dust burned her lungs. Panic was a heavy, suffocating blanket. Worse, the faint, metallic scent of the guardian automaton, a scent she recognized as oxidized iron and oil, was still faintly present. She was trapped, injured, and the silent, patient danger of the sentinel might still be nearby, waiting for the dust to clear. The struggle had gone from adventure to sheer survival. Coughing and forcing herself to breathe slowly, Lyra pushed against the debris, searching for any void. Her hands scraped against a section of wall that felt oddly smooth. Wiping the grime away, she revealed a preserved section of an ancient mural. Not a decoration, but a schematic. The mural depicted the city's emergency pressure valves and, crucially, an old hidden maintenance shaft behind the image of the city's mythical founder. It was a secondary path, dangerous, but a direct route upwards toward the central convergence point. She had a chance. The maintenance shaft was narrow and filled with old, brittle piping, but it was structurally sound, a small grace in the deadly labyrinth. Lyra began her ascent, climbing rung by rusty rung. The silence of the shaft was a blessing. The automaton could not follow here. Each small, upward movement was a gentle confirmation that she was moving closer to her goal, escaping the collapse and nearing the Heartstone. After a long, strenuous climb, she burst into the central dome chamber. The Heartstone was there, a flawless, pulsing violet crystal cradled in a pedestal of wrought iron. But she was too late. A complex, interconnected series of light switches, the activation sequence, had already locked itself down, guarded by an engraved riddle. I have rivers but no water, forests but no trees, and cities but no buildings. What am I? As she read the words, the entire chamber began to shake violently. The grid was moments from total failure, and she had to solve a high-stakes, life-or-death puzzle. A map, Lyra gasped, instantly recognizing the familiar conceit. The answer is a map. With shaking hands, she pressed the symbol for map on the central panel. For a terrifying, silent moment, nothing happened. Then, the chamber exploded with light. The Heartstone pulsed, not violet, but a brilliant, searing gold. A shockwave of pure energy surged through the dome and out into the city's conduits. The ancient glow moss flared back to vibrant blue, the air grew instantly warmer, and the groans of the foundation ceased. Lyra had done it. She had saved Aethel. As the initial rush of victory faded, Lyra stood alone in the newly illuminated chamber, her chest heaving. The city was safe for now. But she noticed a fine dust still drifting from the ceiling, and the small, hairline crack in the floor beneath the pedestal, caused by the final surge of power, had deepened slightly. The Heartstone was working, but the city had been strained to its limits. The long-term maintenance required, the constant fight against decay, lay ahead. The adventure was over. But the work, the quiet, subtle struggle to keep the light on, had just begun.